All right, this is about scientism in the what's called the doomer community, and I've been a part of kind of a part of the environmental doomer virtual reality community. And basically, these are people who obsessively track the abrupt global warming news, and especially focused on the science of the melting of the Arctic ice and the methane releases out of the East Siberian Arctic shelf, known in the doomer community as the Methane Bomb. And so science is the main tool of the doomer community to make their argument that the empirical facts demonstrate that it is too late to fix or solve abrupt global warming, and therefore life on Earth is doomed, and we are experiencing a mass extinction of species, just like happened when the Earth was hit by an asteroid 65 million years ago, what's called the KT Extinction. And so, for example, one of the prominent doomer channels where I've been unloading, or as I call it, being a spam bot, all the science and activist information on abrupt global warming. This channel, created by Sandy, who's this lady out on the east from New York, and she featured a NASA scientist recently, and he had a op-ed published in the UK Guardian, and he said that based on the science, we need to have zero emissions by 2030 or 2035 or something. And we can't wait till 2050 to have zero emissions. And I think that that's what the latest argument around the world is, to have zero emissions by 2050. And then, so as he had his discussion on the environmental coffee house is the name of the channel, and he was asked about the East Siberian Arctic shelf methane bomb, and he said the science is too uncertain. There's too many uncertainties to say that there is a methane bomb. And so he was just reiterating the science view of the U.S. geological survey, or their government geological science, that published a study by Brett Thornton, and I had looked at Brett Thornton, and so I knew he was basically ignoring the thermogenic origin of the methane in the East Siberian Shelf, and he was basically just arguing that any methane created is from the increase in bacteria due to the warming, and the bacteria then also will eat the methane before it's released into the water. But this ignores how shallow the East Siberian Arctic Shelf is, and it also ignores the recent Laptev C study that proved that there is a huge amount of thermogenic pressurized methane of some hundreds of gigatons, I think, and they're saying if it's just a 5 gigaton release, which would be like a 5% of the total stored methane under pressure, then that will warm Earth another 0.6 degrees Celsius global average over a period of a few months. And that's based on the hot spots, the so-called hot spots, where the methane is already recorded to be something like 8 times larger than the global average, or for the Arctic release of methane. And so they're saying it's already an exponential release of methane due to the melting of the underwater permafrost, and then the releasing of the pressurized stored up methane that hasn't been released in 3 million years, so it's a lot of methane. And so then the blog Arctic News featured Dr. Andrew Glickson saying that if you look at the current global gas equivalent emissions, which includes methane and nitrous oxide, then we're already at 500 parts per million, and that the last time Earth had this much global warming gas in the atmosphere was back in the Miocene era of starting like 3 to 4 million years ago, 4 million years ago, and that Earth was 3 degrees Celsius warmer as a global average. So we already have enough, even if we went to zero emissions, as Dr. Jim Massa, the oceanographer, points out. The oceans have stored up 226 zettajoules of thermal heat that is going to be released as it's a delayed release from the oceans, since the oceans stored up 90% of the heat, and that water is the main cause of the Arctic ice melting, because it's coming up from the Mediterranean and into the Atlantic and up to the Arctic, and also from the Pacific. And so then you have these debates among the scientists. uh, also with the aerosol masking effect. So James Hansen just released a study stating that the increase in temperature on Earth currently is mainly due to the aerosol masking effect from a decrease in sulfur pollution from renewable energy, a switching to renewable energy, or from just the economy being on hold due to the pandemic. And so then oceanographer Jim Massa has emphasized that the science itself is chaotic because it's nonlinear and then it goes exponential. And so global warming science relies on supercomputers that then do iterations that are, the results are unpredictable to the scientists, and the actual reality is too complex. But as physicist Albert Bartlett pointed out with his lecture Arithmetic, Population, and Energy, that he repeated over 1,000 times in person while he was alive, the ecological crisis is driven by the exponential math that's then used to create the technology and justify the exponential growth. And so this is from the wrong music theory, because the exponential math is the inverse of the logarithmic function that was created from equal tempered music tuning by Philolaus flipping his lyre around so he could lie about what science calls time frequency uncertainty that actually is from noncommutative phase. And so it's not just chaotic, but it's also a quantum nonlocality in quantum biology that resonates and scales up through noncommutative phase based on the moon and solar resonance with Earth.